In the quaint suburb of Rancho Cucamonga in Southern California, an ordinary American family found themselves at the center of an extraordinary and chilling mystery. What started as an idyllic tale of long-distance love soon spiraled into a harrowing saga of supernatural events and unexplained occurrences in their home, thrusting the family into the spotlight of paranormal investigators and skeptics alike. Whispers of objects moving on their own, eerie shadows lurking in corners, and inexplicable sounds echoing through the halls turned their everyday life into a living nightmare. The family's claims, both compelling and disturbing, prompt questions about the existence of malevolent entities and the vulnerability of the human spirit to unseen forces. This case file join the theorists as they delve into the heart of this unsettling enigma, exploring the fine line between the natural and the supernatural in the Moffitt Family Demon.
Welcome to Alien Theorists Theorizing Case File 305. What was it? What were you called? The Moffitt Family and the Dark Prince of Hell.
You fucked it up.
What was it?
The Moffitt Family and the Demon Prince of Hell.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You guys interrupted me so many times. I'm gonna have to leave all the fucking interruptions.
You just fucking panic. The fucking puck's on your stick and you shit your pants.
I'm Braden.
I'm Dan.
And I'm disappointed.
Yeah, as always.
Blew it.
Zell's on Baby Watch 2023 or 2024 now. Maybe when this comes out, he's had the baby. This is pre-recorded. If you're watching the live stream, if you're listening to the podcast, they're all pre-recorded. Fucking spoiler alert.
Surprise.
This one's interesting because it made me think of, how I talked about my house growing up.
Right.
A lot of paranormal activity. You had a harbinger of anger,
sorrow,
bringing those. And then I start to think about, Zell's studio, right? It's all all these haunted places. I'm like, someone's attached to these places. Someone filled with hate and rage.
It's attached to you.
Yeah. No, this is it's interesting. I mean, this is one of those wild ones where it's the long run of story, and you're like, just keeps getting wilder and wilder and wilder. And so let's get into it. Who are the Moffitt family? What do they do?
All right. So the Moffitt family is actually it's 4 people that includes there. But they were a group, a family that had these paranormal experiences that ran for quite a long time. At least the strongest, or probably the most prominent of these experiences, spanned between 1987 and 1992, which is fairly long.
And I mean, six years of, it's funny because when I think about that, I'm like, could I deal with a haunting for 6 years? And I'm like, well, I would have to start reaching out for help, or I would definitely sort this out. Is that math?
It's 5.
Well, if I did 5, then I'd be fine. As long as it didn't get to 6. I
handle 5 years of anything.
Water off a duck's back. Right.
But that's just from looking into this case, it's kind of being from 1987, 1992, like I said, that's the strongest of the occurrences. It even expanded out past that. If you go back and visit some of the interviews and stuff, there's still stuff, that residual things that they feel have gone into it. But we're going to cover most of the most popularized part of it.
The thing that I have the hardest time believing about this case file is a place named Rancho Cucamonga could be haunted.
True.
I feel like that would be the happiest place in the world.
That's true.
Think about that name. I would fucking love to live in Rancho Cucamonga.
That's where the guys from Workaholics live.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. It's what a cool, whoever was in charge of naming those areas back in the day, good on you.
Yeah.
Those are
like Rancho Cucamonga would be like a very happy place. It would have a Chuck E. Cheese on every corner. Like, you know. Like,
what is a Cucamonga?
He's like, we're going to call this one Los Angeles. And what about this suburb? He's fucking... I got some wild ideas I've written down here. Going through his list. How about Cowabunga? Rancho Cowabunga. They're like, whoa, too much. And he's like,
that's been taken.
Cucamonga. And he's like, all right, that sounds like made up word. Cool.
I like that extra consonant sound in there, that extra hard C's. That's it. Yeah,
well, Cucamonga is like he couldn't say, like he was trying to think of Cowabunga.
Yeah, like,
but you know what I mean? It came out.
What is that, Simpsons? What does that little Bart say?
What does that Ninja Turtle say, huh?
What does that little eat my shorts guy? Rancho Cucamonga.
So the year before, in 1986, Deborah, who most of this story revolves around, was living in the state of New York, where she had met her soon-to-be husband, Bill.
How? And, like, honestly, this part of the story was like, because they were writing to each other. And I was just like,
fucking like, dear penthouse.
It just, yeah, like, how the fuck were you meeting people to get connected to be like writing letters to each other? And then, like, this is such a love story because I guess in the West Coast, fucking wrestling wasn't big.
The territories, buddy.
The territories.
Well, there was territories back then.
Yeah,
so you couldn't watch other local wrestling shows from other territories.
Yeah. So, like, Deborah, like, met this guy named Bill, and she's writing to him. They've never met in person writing. And then he's like, you know what I'd love? To watch some fucking East Coast wrestling. And she's like, well, honey, let me start taping them for you. And she starts fucking sending Bill tapes. Yeah, it's good damn good one. Tapes. You know how fucking annoying it was to record shows back then too?
Expensive. You had to buy the VHS and then like send them, and you're not getting them back to re-record them, I guess, unless you send them back.
You know how much those wrestling tapes are probably worth here now? Like, realistic, those are collector's items. So I hope Deborah has kept all those.
Deborah. So they were exchanging
what do you mean?
Exchanging written correspondence, and then she would send him, VHS tapes of these local professional wrestling events.
His muscle man.
It's muscle man.
And so they were getting along great. They're pretty much like set, and they're eventually going to get married. But when she goes back, she has a quote in like one of her some of her recollections of this time, and she was talking about how she knew that she was kind of getting into something, not necessarily the paranormal aspect of what was going to happen, but she was kind of had the inkling that something was going to be different in this life, because she was saying that Bill would tell her that her father his father was like part of the mafia at some point, or was still an active part of the mafia, like La Cosa Nostra,
the Sicilian branch of the Italian mafia.
Right. So,
and this motherfucker is making pen pals.
Forget about it, eh?
He's connected. Dude, didn't the mafia run the East Coast? He had no connections to get his own fucking wrestling tapes. I feel like he would have had some connections that were hawking pirated copies. Yeah.
He's that guy. He's the guy that's selling them on the block.
He's making copies of the tapes. Hey, I got wrestling tapes.
Yeah, but he's got to go to fucking Billy Jr.
They fell off the back of the truck. This is not mine. What are you talking about?
I got WWE. I got WWF.
I got discount cigarettes too.
Don't fucking worry. I got a guy. All right.
Yeah. I got Ted Turner. I got...
So after they got married, after a whirlwind romance of wrestling and mafioso, they got married, and Deborah moved out to California, and where they moved in with where they actually ended up moving in with Bill's parents. Now, Bill also had a heart condition, which she was aware of, which kind of resulted in him feeling more comfortable being around family, just in case something happened.
Dan, do you have a similar heart condition, or what's your deal?
You got him.
Apparently he had cardiomyopathy.
Right. So it's like
just basically a weakening.
That's from the COVID shot, right?
Yeah.
No, that's pericarditis.
Now you want to skip band again.
No.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So now the family there, it's actually, they didn't just have the one house. They apparently owned like 3 adjacent lots. So there was 3 different houses that the family actually owned, and then they lived in the middle one, and then the 2 on the left and the right.
So in one of those houses, Bill's grandmother, Dominica, she lived in one of those houses, and she was quite elderly, had a few different medical conditions. So she required somewhat of like a caretaker / like home care worker. And her care worker's name was Juanita, who was originally from Guatemala. Juanita, she kind of feared the potential, like she was there on a work visa. So she was really worried as Dominica got older, she got sicker. And as she's getting sick, she's like, shit, I'm going to lose my work visa if this lady dies. So
what a good little scam the family's going to go. Like, you better take good care of her, because if she goes, you go.
Like, yeah, fucking right. So she's super stressed out about the fact that, Dominique is deteriorating. So she's like, well, what the fuck can I do to try and, preserve my job as long as I can? And the way to preserve her job is by preserving Dominica's life. So she starts practicing what is called Santeria.
Which is so funny because
practice Santeria. I thought you were going to go in it. Yeah, you didn't.
She looked at her crystal ball.
She didn't have $1 million.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't have to stay. But she starts practicing Santeria in hopes of preserving her career. And if you don't know, Santeria is a fusion of Catholic practices and African folk beliefs. It emerged in Cuba in the 17th century and has been embedded in Cuban society ever since. I guess it got brought to the States during like the slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
Is when I was reading.
Kind of like voodoo, like a little bit like voodoo, hoodoo. Yeah.
So unfortunately, her efforts were futile because Dominica soon passed. The next day, Bill and Lee, so Bill Sr. and Lee, which was, Deborah's in-laws, got a panicked phone call from Juanita. She screamed that she was being chased by something around the house. So they made a mad scramble to go next door to see what was going on. And by the time they got there, the front door burst open and Juanita ran through the door, being followed by this shining orb that all of a sudden kind of shot up into the sky when it noticed other people around. Juanita, who's obviously hysterical after this, kept apologizing repetitively, stating that she was only trying to help. She then got a friend to come pick her up. This is the last time they would ever see her. And she looked over at Deborah and said, like, don't ever go into that house ever again. There's something evil in there.
All right. Easy there. So, she's just trying to keep the house for herself. Yeah.
But so, all of a sudden, so Dominica's dead, toast. Yep. Juanita's out. You got this empty house. What are you going to do with it, right? You got a fucking little rental income, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So they have the idea that they want to rent this place out. So they get some cleaners to go in there and, do a quick little scrub, get the place ready to get rented out. And
it smells like dust and dead people.
Yeah. Well, while they were cleaning it, it's where they got some evidence of what Juanita was doing in their home. They found melted candles, broken rosaries, knives and daggers, and animal remains tucked in all the corners of the house.
Right.
It's fucking weird, man.
It's just smelled terrible.
Yeah. And also, it's like, I'm like, what kind of animals are we talking about? Do we know? Because I'm like,
chickens, I'd imagine.
Chickens, yeah.
Chickens, probably.
Goats, maybe.
Goats.
That's a lot.
That's a big
like whole goat.
Yeah, but when you see a movie, that's what you think. You think chickens, goats.
Yeah. Right?
Well, not like stuffed into all corners of the house. I'm like, I don't think it's very.
But I mean,
stuff for the whole goat.
What if it's a miniature goat? Some of them are fucking tiny.
They're pretty tiny. Yeah, they're so cute. Pretty tiny.
They're like the size of like a fucking Pomeranian.
Yeah.
Not big.
Okay.
I couldn't imagine getting one of those though. Leaving it in the corner. They're too cute.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah. Chicken.
So Deborah and Bill moved into the middle house with Bill's parents, and so this is a little bit after this is when the first kind of after the Juanita thing, then the other kind of strange events started to occur. But some of the first ones that were witnessed by Deborah herself that she mentions involves a number of objects just kind of like moving. And this is very this is like poltergeist stuff, right? Like This is what I think of as like, you just see these like weird little happenings.
This kind of happens to everyone, I think. I think like these kind of things where you're like, I know I put my keys here, and then you're like, you find your keys over there and you're like, That's weird. I fucking swear, like that shit happens to all of us, everyone.
Yeah, but they found other weird shit because like one of the other houses had another renter in it by now, and they like found the other like belongings from the other person's house in their house.
Right. Yeah. They were finding like
doing some
socks, jewelry. They said like underclothes, like underwear, like in their house. Like they're just like, what the fuck? You guys
talked about like the fact that this is super common in these type of experience, and it's got a name. It's called an apport.
Right.
So an apport is an alleged paranormal transference of article from one place to another.
Right. Well, one of the things that Deborah mentions in an interview is that she said that there was in one of the houses, like that was being rented out. And apparently this is connected with a person who was like, their stuff was ending up inside the Moffitt home. They said there was a room downstairs that they kept for Bill, and for like Bill was a collector of like sports memorabilia, and he had like he had boxes and all kinds of collectibles and stuff like that.
Did you imagine renting a house? You're like going to a tour and you're like, yeah, here's a bedroom up here, nice bathroom, second bedroom. And then that door there, don't worry about that. You can't go in there.
That's pretty much what they told him.
Yeah,
that's how that conversation went. I assume
go in there, like, Vafangul, right?
Because it was like it's locked. Like they kept the locked room down there. They're like, just don't go in there.
It's all special things.
This is for me. You're like, are you just gonna come and open this door when you need in there? Of course.
That's what it sounded like. Because he would go down there like, just to look at his stuff. Like
he's like, I like to go down and look at my cards and my bobbleheads.
Are we gonna be real here? Going to be real here? This is old fucking Billy Boy's jerk shack. All right, you can't jerk off at home.
This is his meth lab.
Can't jerk off at home. He needs a special place.
Underneath those boxes of cards, you lift up and it's just old Penthouse and Playboys.
Yeah.
Oh, full bush.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
His stack of baseball cards and whatnot. Yeah.
Why are all these cards sticking together?
So inside this room, right, he had tons of sports memorabilia, and like one of the things that he had a number of was the classic sports bobbleheads, right? And they said that one time Bill came in there and he found a bunch of the bobbleheads like stacked in like a triangle pattern, like just on the floor, like just.
I told you not to go in here.
Holy fuck, we're being paranormally activated by the ghost of Mickey Mantle, huh? Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
They're all like just.
Yeah, and I mean they didn't suspect anything paranormal at the time, but you know, Bill kind of had a talk with the guy and been like, "Hey, like, did you go in here?
Don't play with my toys, buddy. What the fuck?
Like,
all right, these are action figures. All right,
these are my special little muscles. These are my little muscle men.
Fucking, you're not mad.
To be worth something someday.
Oh yeah,
body. My mind.
So I mean, he had to talk with the guy. The guy obviously denied it, and he said, "No, I haven't gone in there." So you know, Bill locks it back up, and then shortly after this, Deborah remembers that the tenant said he started to kind of started to get like a feeling of being like very uncomfortable inside the house, and
you played with the guy's toys. Now you got to live there.
Yeah,
I hate you.
He's got Bill poking around every like now and then, like, "Hey,
yeah."
Eyes on you, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just, so, and then apparently he just like picked up and left. Like he left one day, like he just kind of gone. Right. And then when
because you heard Billy jacking it in the fucking shack.
Yeah,
he's tired of it.
And he's getting
not worth the rent break.
Screamed at for playing with his bobbleheads. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking out of here. This weirdo's got a room in my house that he comes and fucking plays with his bobblehead.
Just sits there and stares at him, like, you know. But apparently after he left and they went in, you know, to go in and clean it and get it ready for like, you know, to rent out again, they said that they found a number of like strange symbols like drawn on the walls that they weren't sure the origin of. Yeah. So
it was weird too. Apparently while they were cleaning the house, Deborah was like cleaning and there was a shelf with all these little fucking dog miniatures on them.
Oh yeah.
And she like looked at the dog miniatures, whatever, cool, turns around, cleans, looks back at the dog miniatures, and they're all turned around facing the wall.
Yeah. So that was one thing that Deborah commented about is she's saying that at first, like the stuff was just like mischief, like general mischief. Like, it's just like, it's nothing that she felt.
It's Casper shit. It's friendly.
She didn't feel like threatened, didn't feel any kind of like, didn't feel any kind of like animosity or anything kind of like that. It was just stuff happening just because it happened. She tried to tell people about what she had seen, the things turn around, but they all kind of just like brushed it off and said, must have been,
and listen, you know, that's totally fair. Like if you went to a random person, like any one of you guys tell me that, I'd be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, holy, something's wrong with Dano. and like, we like this stuff. So it's like, you know, you say this to people, like, definitely eyebrows are getting raised right away of like, oh, okay. Or yeah, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. They're giving you the Zell cosmic channels treatment. Oh, wow. That's great. Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
Nice. Zell. Oh, yeah.
So then another pair of tenants moved in, and this one was a couple, and it was like Deborah estimated like one of the man to be in his 50s and the woman to be like in her 30s. And so shortly after they moved in, like I think Deborah had like formed like a kind of a relationship with the wife or girlfriend. They weren't really sure like 100% of like the relationship between the two, but something intimate. And she talked to her about like, you know, talking about how they were getting along and stuff like this. And she said the wife kind of started to report that her husband seemed to experience like a change in his personality. Like he had started to become like a bit like more angry, like bordering on violence at times.
Yeah, I had read rage filled. Like just
right.
Like
well, I remember she was showing up with bruises on her face. When
it got to that point where she was like, it sounded like, it was definitely a case of domestic abuse. Like she came out with like bruises, black eye, and Deborah's kind of asking her about it. She's like, oh no, it just, he got real angry and, it just happened once. He said,
I don't understand what's happening. He's just wearing wife beaters all the time with pizza stains on them and just.
Yeah. Walking around full hand of rings.
Yeah.
And then kind of like after a time, like Deborah, like they realized that, the Moffitts realized that the wife was gone. Like she wasn't there. They hadn't seen her in a really long time. They hadn't, they asked the guy, like, she left, like she packed up and left.
Yeah. She moved out. All right. Don't worry about it.
Well, and I mean, that would add up to you. Cause if you're like, all right, like we think this guy was beating her up.
Not even were close with her though. Like they were friends. She would have like came over and been like, I'm out of here. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? No, she put it down the midnight, like leave.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Not tell anybody.
Yeah,
just
well,
in case he asks. And you don't want him asking them about something and then telling him like she left somewhere to go. I would assume like that would be.
It would definitely.
It's when she tells all the other Dixie chicks that Earl has to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after they realized that the wife left and the male tenant is living there, solo for a while, then he picks up and leaves, just kind of picks up and leaves. But Deborah was like, oh, but the place was like spotless after he left, was something that she commented on.
He's fucking clean. He's cleaning the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's a good point. Yeah.
So months. Yeah. And and that kind of leads into
that, like bleach.
Months later, they had like a neighbor come by, like a neighbor or someone from the neighborhood kind of came by to the Moffitt home. And like Deborah and, kind of asked them like, hey, did you hear about so-and-so, like the tenant over here, the female tenant? And they're like, no, what happened? They're like, they found her body in a landfill wrapped in a carpet. And
your carpet, the one that's missing from your place.
Yeah.
And Deborah was like, what? We didn't hear anything about that. There was nothing on the news. Like we didn't hear anything. He's like, yeah,
that'd be shocking. If you we would have known. We noticed she was gone, and this whole time,
it's crazy that the cops don't come knock on the fucking door. Like
right.
I don't know.
So yeah, Deborah was a little skeptical of the story because she's like, we didn't hear anything. Bill said he didn't see anything on the news. Like we hadn't heard anything about this. But she was also kind of like, well, we're not going to go report it to the police because we have no idea if this is true or not. And so they weren't really sure. But, Deborah's also kind of like, well, but the house was really clean. So maybe something happened. And that was just him, taking care of any evidence that was left behind. So they weren't really sure that, someone actually got murdered in that house. So after this,
I keep thinking this case is like a really, really long time ago. And I'm like, no, it's like the late 80s. So it's like, it's not,
we were alive.
It's not, yeah. This guy, like, he definitely, could have cleaned it himself. This isn't like the 60s where he's like, this is woman's work here. Like smoking a cigarette in the house. Like, times had already changed. Maybe he was hanging on a little bit too much of the past though, based on his actions.
So a little while after this, like the family had decided that what they were going to do is they were going to sell their 3 houses that they had already, and then move to a larger house in the nearby Alta Loma neighborhood. They wanted to move to another bigger house with a pool.
I mean, good name.
Yeah, we got to sell this place before the fucking nerders think it's
on. Oh, that's a good point too, right? Like, yeah, you're like, listen, our house prices are going to drop. Not only do we own a murder house, but we own the adjacent neighbors to the murder house. No one wants that.
So now you have paranormal events connected to the 2 side houses. And then when they started to move, this is when paranormal stuff started happening in the house that they had been living in the middle house. And they're saying that, like one of the things that they noticed was like a picture got turned around backwards on the wall, right? Like there's something that like his pictures like got turned around, and they said that wasn't like that before. Like it's never been like that.
Well,
what happened?
Well, I thought one of the things was like the picture also was like it would pop up in other rooms as well. One of the things that I read, and like they would go
transference,
and they would just be like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
It was so shocking because they're like, "Hey, did you move this picture and hang it in the room?" And they're like, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?" Like rattled that this is happening now because you're like, "That's strange. That." Who's doing that? One of us is doing this, obviously. Who is it? Like you'd instantly, that would be the thing. Like if I walked into my house right now and one of the pictures from my living room was moved into the bedroom, I'd be like, Jamie, how'd you know how to hang that? Who'd you have over here? I know Roman didn't do it.
So Deborah said like a lot of these events that started happening within the house that they were living in, because they hadn't moved out yet. This is like stuff that they're like, they're getting ready to move, but they're still in the house. And they're saying that some of the things kind of seem random, but there are other events that seem to kind of display like almost a type of intelligence. So there's some kind of like motivation behind some of these actions. They had stuff that, you did have the items moving, pictures, stuff moving around, but they also had doors shutting by themselves. They said lights going on and off, the TV changing channels on its own.
Footsteps.
Right. Yeah. And this stuff was becoming like more and more common. You'd write it one off. You're like, oh, okay. But then once it happened enough times, you're like, okay, something's really going on here. We need to get somebody in here. So Deborah and her husband apparently kind of, approached their Bill's parents, being like, you should get somebody in here who knows about these things. Like these are really, supernatural. We should get somebody in here. Apparently, Bill's mother refused, like flat out refused.
Well, she's a staunch fucking Christian woman,
right? Catholic, yeah, like hardcore Catholic, yeah,
hardcore Catholic. Yeah. Like whatever it is, Jesus is gonna fix it,
right? It's like we just pray. We're just gonna pray on it before we go to bed, and then everything's gonna be good.
Power of Christ compels you. Holy water.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I kind of thought about this when I was reading this. Is the fascination to me of like, we need to call someone, as if it's like the Ghostbusters exist. Because I'm like, I wouldn't know what the fuck would I like right now. I was trying to think of like right now, if there was a haunting in my house and I was like, I need to call someone and sort this out. Like, I have no fucking idea where I would go. Like, do you go to the Catholic Church? Like, do you find a Catholic church and be like, walk in and be like, hey, I think I'm being haunted. Yeah. Is that the go-to move? It's not like there's yellow pages.
As a Catholic family, yeah,
I guess so. Yeah,
I mean, this is late '80s, so it's like The Exorcist has been out, Unsolved Mysteries is on. Like, they see enough of these things to be like, okay, stuff. Yeah. So they like this is people know about these things. Like, we need to get a priest in here or something, So there was also this. There's also this kind of like. The relationship between Lee and Bill Sr., Bill's parents, apparently was like somewhat strained, is what Deborah kind of commented on. Like their relationship was something like Bill had told her that Bill Sr. had like cheated on his mother, like either multiple, like at least once, if not multiple times, and that. Being the staunch Catholic woman she was, she probably knew about that. They were saying that I think Bill told Deborah that like she probably knew Lee knew where some of the bodies were buried.
Fucking mafia. Yeah. He's got a guma. Yeah. Well, they all got gumas. It's normal. It's part of the fucking shtick.
And I mean, I think we like they're like the classic like older couple of like like you're like, you two should not be together, and they're like, we have to because we're together. You have to you cannot.
And they're Catholic.
You cannot split up.
You're together till you die.
Yeah, you gotta just keep. It doesn't matter how bad it gets.
Doesn't matter how miserable you are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're in it, and once you're in it to the end.
And so
that's what this kind of sounds like.
And this kind of led to Deborah, talking with Lee, to Lee kind of seeming like she felt like she was being punished for something, like whatever she felt
for not
guilt
being
about.
A good Catholic woman.
Yeah. Or not be, thinking about leaving or something. I don't know. Something like that. But she felt like some of this activity that was going on was some kind of punishment that she had earned. So it's like, she was also very hesitant to kind of, go out and have somebody go and look into this and then bring up a whole bunch of stuff. What would the neighbors think? That kind of thing.
And also find out maybe that she's like, it has something to do with her or what she's done.
Mm-hmm. So one of the more impressive things that happened was on the last day of moving out of the home. So right after they had finished packing all of their boxes, they reported like there was just loud noise from the front of the house, like big bang. And then when they walked out to like the front of the house, they found that in the kitchen, all of the cupboards they had been ripped completely off of the walls onto the ground. Like they had just all been ripped off. And then they heard another sound, and then all of the glass and the wood of the bedroom windows had been blown out from the inside. Like there was pieces and shards of glass like outside on the lawn where all of the windows had just completely just blown out from some kind of pressure or something.
And it's like more than one window too, is from what I read. Like it's not just like one front window. Because my first inclination was like, oh, did someone just break this window? But then it was like a couple at once had gone.
It's like a bomb went off.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. Like after after the cupboards thing, it's like a concussion grenade or something was fucking thrown
or something was leaving or moving. So this is like, they're just like, have no idea what happened. They couldn't really align this with anything. Just everything. Just you're moving out the last day. Like everything's.
Imagine being their realtor. And you're like,
what the fuck did you do?
Why? Like, all right, well, you're gonna have to knock some fucking money off the purchase.
You have a fucking eviction party in here. You own the place. What the fuck is wrong with you?
So after they move into the new home, right? They kind of think that, okay, maybe whatever was happening, that was all just, in the old house, like this, old houses, it's just settling, maybe something like that, I guess. Yeah. Just like,
the woods expanding, everyone knows that.
Yeah, no big deal. So when they move into this new house, one of the first strange occurrences that they had is there was apparently like a hanging picture of Lee's sister, which again got turned around on the wall. Right. And Lee's sister had been deceased for a while at this point. Right. And she always kind of kept a picture of this thing. Then this is when stuff gets really weird, is that they started getting messages written on the upstairs bathroom mirror. Like they actually had stuff written on the mirror in English,
in soap.
Perfect cursive in person. Yeah, very nice. It was very nice cursive because they do have photos of this. Like they do have photos of the messages that were written on there. And so a lot of these, like when they realized that these messages were being written on there, that they're like, okay, at first they thought somebody was doing it. Maybe they're just like messing with each other or something kind of, even though that's kind of a bit far fetched for like their personality types, but they were kind of like, okay, we all need to like stand outside the room and make sure that none of us is messing with each other.
I don't know why it won't load, but
Brayden's trying to share the photos.
Well, and the other thing is like, not only were they like thinking that someone was fucking with them, but they were thinking that because like none of them really recognized the writing, like to the point where they're like, that's his, like, cause I'm just, and from experience to their credit is like, if my dad were to write me a message in soap on my bathroom mirror, I'm like, I would know my dad's writing. You know what I mean? I'd be like, that's dad. You know what I mean? They'd be like, you disappoint me. Why isn't Mr. Conspiracy on the show anymore?
The lines would be vibrating with rage. You know what I mean?
No, but like, I would recognize my dad's writing. I would recognize my mom's writing. Like I've seen it so much that it's you know,
but what if they're intentionally trying to disguise it?
I don't know. I mean,
writing with their left hand.
Then you're like, that looks like just bad writing, but it's good. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's good enough that whoever's writing that's their good hand. And you like some of the characters, like the G's and the Y's, like some of the letters are, you know, have an interesting flair to them consistently that I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's my dad. You know what I mean? Like that's him. That's how he writes, like, just like this.
So yeah, at one point they were like, okay, we need to all get together, everybody in the house, stand outside the bathroom. We're going to clean the mirror, and then we're going to stand outside, close the door. And then, so nobody can get in there to make sure like nobody's messing with us. And then when they returned and they opened up the bathroom, there was a message scrawled on the mirror and it said, "No escape." Clearly, no escape.
Great song by Metallica.
Yeah. Well, it's terrifying. So after like this, you'd be fucking rattled after that because you're like, no one was in there. There's not a chance that anyone did this. You cleaned the mirror, and now like, I'd be moving. That'd be the first thing I'd be doing.
You just moved. You gonna go through all again?
Can't move again.
No, you can't move again.
No.
You can't go back to back move.
And so, yeah, after this, there definitely was an escape because they can't move, and we'll get to it right after our break.
We'll be right back. We're back. There was danger in the attic. That's what Dan's going to say.
There's no escape, right?
Yeah.
And so these messages continue, right? And then the messages kind of start to pen out like a kind of theme that Deborah kind of talks about, and then saying that it always kind of seemed to put out like, don't go in the attic. Something's in the attic. Don't go in the attic. You know, everybody stay out of the attic. You know, so you can imagine it's just like.
It makes me wonder that because like, you know, I mean, to me, it is a warning. There is no if, ands, or buts. It's a warning. But to me, I'm like, is there something else here that's warning about another presence in the house? Right? Like they're trying to get a message to them.
Yeah. And that's what they actually thought kind of at first, like with these messages coming out here. Lee actually thought that this entity that was writing on the things, or at least the one that was telling them about the attic or warning them about the attic, she at first thought that this was her sister, her deceased sister, trying to communicate with her, trying to warn her, because apparently at one point the messages on the mirror like directly started addressing like Lee, and then they referred to her as Nini, which is like a nickname that her sister had called her because her Lee is short for Lena apparently, and she would call her Nini as a nickname. So Lee believed that it was her sister trying to communicate with her about some kind of danger that was in the attic, right? That whatever was trying to affect them or was haunting their house, like either had its seat up there or something was danger was up there.
How long after getting a fucking weird soap scum message in your mirror telling you not to go in the attic do you guys just peek your head in the attic?
Never. You boarded it up.
Fucking move. You burn the house down.
I feel soon though. We discussed this. You just moved. You can't.
Like I don't know.
The fucking house down.
Because I've in the movies, you know, everyone has like the fucking stairs that you pull down or anything. But like in every house I've ever lived in Canada, like literally you just have like a section of roof that's just like, it's just like basically your roof's normal, and then you have a piece of drywall that's just sitting above that you can just like push up.
No,
you just push up and move to the side. You just like get up there, push up, and then you like come up out of the attic like this. And like you can look. I just do a scan, right? I couldn't. I think that's
all of the houses that I've lived in. It's always been like that, where it's like, you have the little piece of thing that you move it, and you would get a ladder to get up into the attic,
and then you just peek your head in. And I'm like,
I always thought it was crazy in movies that people had like the pull down with the ladder in it. I was like, I've never seen those.
Those are some big ass houses.
Yeah. Are those real? Are those? Hold on. Are those real though? Like,
where are they filming the movies?
Are they just
Kevin McAllister has one.
I've never seen one in real life. In 35 years, I've never seen anyone with any kind of fucking ladder or anything that comes out of the
I also
roof.
would like to know how many attics you've been in.
I don't think I've never seen the ones where it's like, comically, like they pull it down and it slides down. Like I've never seen one of those ones. I think I've seen one that folds.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger conspiracy here.
It's attic.
It's like, I think this is fucking bullshit. Yeah, like attic access. I don't think it's a real thing.
I think it's rich people.
I don't think there's
McAllister's house.
Attics are real.
McAllister's house. Balls.
Hey, listen, if anyone listening to this podcast has, access to a fucking attic like this, send us a picture. I want to see it. I think this is
and a Patreon subscription because you're wealthy.
yeah. And as soon as you send it, we expect a $10 tier or above.
So they actually began having conversations with this entity, right? Through through the mirror. Like they would talk to it and they would, ask it, what is it? What do you want? What are you? What is your name? Right. And they apparently got from it at some point that it would refer to itself or identified itself as Prince. At some point.
Purple rain.
And I was like, I had to look up. I was like, when did Prince change his name? Like it's like 93.
Probably around here.
No, 93. It was 93.
Early
when
90s.
It was 93 when he changed his name.
So you're saying there's a chance
symbol.
So it might have been Prince.
Prince is at his mansion. He's got candles all slick, and he's just looking into a mirror, and he's connecting with other mirrors in America.
I'm sure he writes in good. I'm sure he wrote in good cursive. Like I'm sure he wrote like that. Thing is,
who is this? It's Prince, baby.
Yeah. So this entity is like what they kind of just this haunting spirit or whatever it was. Apparently like demanded that it communicate with the family. Like it got angry at some point, or like they could feel that the activity would kind of increase, like in response to whether or not like they communicated with this thing or how often they communicated with it.
Shit suddenly just starts getting fucking diabolical. Like out of nowhere. Like they would smell things around the house like feces or rotten food. Mm-hmm. They constantly heard footsteps on the second floor, which they had vacated since this kind of shit started happening. They noticed a rapid increase in bird population. So they heard cawing night and fucking day, which was maddening, supposedly. And then birds would dive bomb their fucking windows, painting them with fucking blood. They also dealt with rat infestations, which was fucking.
Well, I would have called the realtor at that point and be like, "Hey, you fucking sold this as a house." I'd be so mad.
I mean, it could be that, or they're just dealing with an increase in birds and fucking rats. What we all deal with. Like you stub your toe and be like, "Oh, you Prince, you fucking," but
Prince comes on the radio and then you're Prince.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today.
Little red rum.
But other weird shit, like they'd go visit places. They'd like, let's say they'd go out for food. They just leave the house and go out for food. And they'd come home and like the hostess's name tag would be in the house waiting.
It's so fucked.
Or like fucking mementos from their trip to like Lake Tahoe. Or they would go and they'd stay in a hotel and they would see that bizarre fucking triangle with that S connected to it in the fucking hotel room.
Like when they arrived.
Yeah.
When they arrive, it's not like they're like go in, settle down, like, hey, let's go down to the fucking check out the amenities, and then you come back. It's like literally they check in, they're like, yo, what the fuck's up with this?
Not only has it followed them from house to house, but it's like it's attached to them.
Right. And so this is what
stalking.
Yeah,
just on the name tag thing. Just on the name tag thing before we move on from it. Let's unpack that for a bit, because that to me is fucking insane, because there's two options here, both equally ludicrous in my opinion. One, we have a spirit that is somehow stealing these things and transporting them, transporting them,
paranormal transference.
You're going to tell me that someone in this fucking family is stealing the pins off waitresses, or having to go up to a waitress.
Saying that. We're saying it's paranormal.
Or you're going to go up to a waitress and you're going to go, hey, you're just going to walk up to them and be like, hey, can I get your name tag? Can I have that?
Fucking $50.
Right? No one's giving you the name tag. I'm telling you. No one's
for $50 bucks. When I was working at Famous Players, somebody came and asked me for my name tag. Here you go.
Like, my name's Andrew too. I just want that cool name tag. Here.
I don't give a fuck.
Whatever.
The only name tag, the only thing that somebody came up and asked me, because you go into the staff room, and on the staff room, there's a little fucking star on it. It said "Play is only" on it. Because we're the famous players. And somebody's like, I want that. And I was like, no, because I'm taking it.
Off limits.
And I did. Priceless. It was on my door for the longest time. It was the best.
Playlist only.
I remember my manager being like, what the fuck happened to the sign? I'm like, no idea, man.
I don't know.
So these events, like as they were like following the family around, like Deborah said that she said that these events would like lead them to become more and more isolated, like from, because they're like, we can't get away and we don't want to take this thing wherever we go. So she's like, we knew this thing could follow us anywhere. So we just like, we started just staying more in the house and like, we didn't get out as much.
And I gotta imagine too, there's an aspect of it, like you're all together, you're seeing this weird stuff together, but there's also, I mean, I feel like it would just be a human thing where you're just like, you would start to be like, this isn't me. It's got to be it's got to be someone else in this house doing this, but I don't know who. So you're like all fucking paranoid, probably like getting, as this shit's starting to escalate, you're like, okay, we've all been together. We've seen this shit. So we know it's not anyone, but at the same time, you'd be like, are one of these motherfuckers doing something like that? That would be my thought right away. I'm like, is this a fucking joke? They fucking conning me here? Like, I
don't know. I think they're full on the paranormal train.
Yeah.
Because they were saying like,
you don't think a little bit of them would be like,
no.
They were saying that this
I think this thing would have never got out.
Fill up.
Like, this is stupid. It's one of you.
They would fill up the actual mirror. Like if they didn't clean the mirror off, like it would start writing on other objects in the house and other places. They say it would start writing on the walls. At one point, it wrote on Bill Senior's car. At some point, like they found like the symbols, like Andrew mentioned before. One of the recurring symbols was this like triangle with like an S or like a tail coming out of it. That they felt like kind of had a representation of this demon or whatever it was. But yeah, so they would have to constantly clean the mirror to keep it from messing up other stuff in the house. And they're saying like, at sometimes the messages would be like talk or burn, so Deborah said that they felt like they had to communicate with this. She would go in there and like talk to it. And so keep it.
First thing I'd say to this guy, you think you could fucking take a pencil and a piece of paper? I got to fucking clean this shit all the time.
Yeah. First thing I'd write on there is fucking ASL, baby.
Yeah. Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
So at some point they all contacted like a psychologist.
ASL.
They decided that they were going to go.
A sex location.
ESL. So they all decided that they were going to talk to a psychologist together.
You thought I was saying sign language?
No, English second language.
Oh, English.
ESLs, or they'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. Yeah. I can't read it. Pourquoi?
And so I'm not sure. So the psychologist apparently advised them to go find a parapsychologist or a university with courses in the paranormal, which I'm not sure there's 100% like how many of those how many universities have courses in the paranormal? And I'm like, also, what kind of psychologist would be like, yes, go find this person?
Because I don't know. If you're dealing with people and they're coming to you for help and they're like, this is what's happening. You're like, okay, well, I don't deal. This is what I deal with. And they're like, well, no, that's not what's happening. This is what we're having. Like, I imagine being fed up and be like, you got to go find someone else.
Well, you got to go call Zach Baggins. You got to call the Zach Baggins.
Yeah. You got to find someone who
Adventures crew in there,
deals with these specifics here.
Yeah. So, I guess they couldn't find, exactly like a parapsychologist. So Lee reached out to a local priest to come and bless the home, because that's traditionally as you would.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I would have done that a lot earlier.
Well, she didn't want to, because she's right. She didn't want the neighbors and things.
Didn't want that stuff.
It's probably her priest too.
Am I right? Missing?
She's a devout Catholic.
Am I missing something here? Because
probably
when they first moved in, didn't like a dog get fucking forcefully squeezed through their fucking fence? Like the first day one. Am I wrong about that?
No, that is something that Deborah mentioned, that it was actually, she said it was like multiple dogs at some point. Like this happened throughout.
We're getting into the fucking dogs.
So we'll get to the dog stuff, because it happens apparently on multiple occasions.
Out of the dog story.
So the apparently the local priest arrived when they called him, and he came in, and he didn't even come in past the foyer. They said he just stood in the foyer, made the sign of the cross, tossed around some holy water.
What do you mean there's no children here?
And he just threw out some holy water, said some holy words, and then just like, this house is blessed, and peaced out. And that was it.
I have exercised.
Like he didn't even enter full in the house. Like I mean,
the Son and the Holy Spirit.
I know at least in some of the other cases we've dealt with, like the priests come and they go and at least recite psalms like through the entire house. Like they go through the entire house, you know.
But the power of Christ compels you. All right, $59.99.
I don't know if it was just like, you know, the local priest is like, oh, these people just watch too much of The Exorcist, and I'm just one here, and like I've done this like 100 times.
It was the fact that he sensed the demon. He sensed the demon.
This motherfucker just watched The Exorcist, and he's like, God damn.
He wanted nothing to do with it.
He's like, I'm not trained in this. You got to call the Vatican.
Yeah, no.
He's like, this is the sixth one I did this week. You know, he's just like, I don't want to walk around. Like,
that guy does that job for a reason. He likes being in power. He likes being the guy. You think he would fucking resist the opportunity to go around the house, fucking chant some bullshit with some, you know what I mean? He would have been all about that. He didn't have the
censored thing. He didn't have like this
sprinkling some holy water.
Yeah, the incense. Like he didn't have that thing either. Like I feel like if you're going to bless the house, you have to have the little like incense thing. Like you have to have, I forget what they're called, but
maybe he forgot it. That's why he's like, oh, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
On a side note,
I'm not going back. It's late. It's already late. I'm not going to go all the way back. Bring it back here.
How hard do you think it would be to become a mega preacher? Like that's the only kind of preaching I could do if I was like in one of those super churches,
like an evangelical.
Yeah, come out there with fireworks and pyrotechnics and stuff.
Jesus,
come out there with your white suit and just like.
Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
Yeah, I've seen season 1. I haven't seen it anymore.
It's the best. Yeah. Oh, you got it, dude. Uncle Baby Billy.
Uncle Baby Billy is the best, man.
Uncle Baby Billy, fucking best.
So now that this
we got Baby Billy in this story, we haven't said that once. From now on, when you're talking about Bill Jr., please from now on refer to him as Baby Billy.
Baby Billy. Yeah, I guess he is Baby Billy. So Bill Sr. and Lee would eventually because of the activity that was like, you know, kind of localized upstairs, apparently in the upstairs bathroom. They felt more comfortable actually moving into the master bedroom downstairs with Deborah and Bill, and like just moving down in there. But apparently the thing kind of fell down there, and then it followed him down and started writing in the downstairs bathroom, in the downstairs guest bathroom.
They vacated the entire second floor of the
never went up there. Like never, like they wouldn't go up there. Like Lee and Bill Sr. just like they wouldn't go up there. It was just they're terrified or just didn't feel like they wanted to go up there, or they had to felt like they had to physically avoid it. Yeah, I mean, and so Deborah said that this entity was like, it seemed to focus mainly on Lee. Like a lot of the activity that manifested was all kind of focused around Lee, and that it would do things like destroy her clothes, would rip them up, burn them, tear them, whatever. It would take her wallet at some point, like her credit cards, driver's license. She couldn't go anywhere because like it would take her wallet, or it would like destroy whatever was in there. And like she was saying that like she couldn't even carry money. Like she couldn't carry money because of this thing would like,
I mean, or she lost and blame it on the earth. Yeah. Like pretty opportunity. I would do it too.
Yeah.
Right. I lose my wallet, blame it on everybody.
Yeah.
What did you do with my wallet?
Yeah, where'd you put it?
Jessica, what the fuck did you do?
I know it's on the table.
I know you moved it.
So after they felt that the priest didn't exactly, do the job, since the activity continued, Deborah and Bill visited a local shop that was called the Crystal Cave. All right, it's one of those kind of new age shops. I imagine that
where you get like those metal sculptures of like a wizard and a dragon.
Yeah,
exact marble.
Yeah.
You
get your different.
Love those stores. A lot of dragons in those stores.
Yeah. Or you still have one of those things. You have a bunch of different colors of crystals, quartz crystals, and all that stuff. I'm sure all of these things to a point in your house, and probably channel different types of energy and all of that
when you walk through those doors.
So the owner apparently was a well-known witch, according to them, according to the family, and named Anella. And she agreed. And when they told her about their plight, she apparently agreed to visit the house and try to help out with whatever she could, perform a ritual that she was familiar with, and in order to cleanse the house.
When I read this, I was just like, I could only picture like nowadays if you were like having these kind of issues for real, and then you'd be like, how do I like you'd like be like you'd find one of these fucking influencer witchy women. You know what I mean? It's like, and they'd be like, yeah. And you'd be like, can you come help me? They're like, of course I can. I'm a witch. And you're like, no, you're not really. But okay.
Have you tried going vegan?
Yeah.
Have you tried?
Have you charged any of your crystals in the moonlight?
Have you tried sunning your butthole?
Yeah. Sunning the butthole is great for.
What about cold plunge?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not saying that.
This is all stuff you're telling me to do, Andrew.
Not go vegan or fucking sun your butthole, but cold plunge.
You're the one that told me about sunning the butthole.
I did not. But you think you can get any sun through all that hair?
Huh?
It's futile.
Terrible tan lines back there.
So apparently Anella performs a type of ritual which involved like I guess a candle and a bowl of water, and this led Anella to conclude after the priest. This led her to conclude, or helped her kind of suss out that and make the assessment that all of the strange occurrences were actually generated by the negativity that stemmed from Bill's illness, like his heart condition, I guess.
Like Baby Billy.
Baby Billy. Sorry. Yes, Baby Billy.
Yeah, Baby Billy.
And so,
listen, you guys got to ditch the fucking sickly dude. Bring everybody up. The fuck around.
It's this guy.
Sucks.
It's old sick Baby Billy over here.
Ew.
Yeah. I don't like his energy. I don't like his energy.
So I guess like after they had, after Anella had kind of given her conclusion and whatever, and she was about to leave, they said that they came back inside and they found those ritual items were gone. And then they found them in the bottom of the pool in the back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if some fucking new age
they got
witch,
a pool, that's why they're not leaving.
If new age witch came into my house and was like, listen, all the spirits due to this guy and his obesity, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'll tell you where your shit's going. It's going in my fucking redneck pool in the back.
So this is where too, like after the priest and after Anella, you have like this almost like rotating roster of paranormal experts coming into the house to do something. And like, I'm not 100% sure whether like it's people that they invited in or that people just started like by word of mouth, like hearing about this. And I think
drawn to it.
Yeah. I think they actually like the word got out about it and people were like approaching them to, I don't know, like test their metal, like their paranormal skills. I'm not sure.
Test your might.
But they had the next, I guess the next one of, like one of note, like it was, they had two local ladies who attempted to kind of manifest the entity. Like they tried to confront it and challenge it to show itself in order for them to be able to, cleanse the house and get this thing out of it. So, this is where Deborah says that this is the only time that she actually heard Prince, the entity, like heard like an actual, like an audible noise. And they heard that there was like, when these women were shouting out their challenges, trying to bring it out, she said that she heard booming laughter like from the upstairs, which like echoed throughout the house.
Can you imagine that for a second? Because we've talked about like different kinds of demons and spirits and paranormal, but like if this is like a poltergeist and perhaps they feed on attention, you have all these fucking basically at the beginning here nitwits coming in, right, and just fucking feeding this thing, not knowing what to do in any sense of it, just be like, come out, we challenge thee, right, with your fucking candle and your fucking little brass bowl that you're fucking rubbing your thing around, right, like not doing shit. So it's like this thing, if that is what gives it power, like it is just being you're putting stoke in the fire right now.
That's like, I forget what the technique they call it in Ghost Adventures, but it's like they try to provoke the ghosts, like the spirits to like come out. So it's like, I mean, I guess it is a recognized technique and these kinds of situations. But yeah, they said like, even with the booming laughter, like apparently they observed like doors slamming behind the two ladies as they moved throughout the house. It was moving things in front of them. And then when they entered the kitchen, it turned on all the burners on the stove and then made the gas flames from the stove like go higher than they've ever been, or that Deborah had ever seen them go, like unnaturally high.
Turn it up to 11.
Apparently they had a self-proclaimed magician who brought eggs to confront the entity with.
Yeah.
I mean, eggs and I guess he was also like Hispanic. And so he was like chanting in Spanish over the eggs, which eggs are important. Like you can use them they are used in different ritualistic purposes and some shamanistic, like Hispanic, Latin American practices. It's real thing.
You can fry them.
You can
scramble them.
Out comes a bunny.
I mean, I know of the one thing, like when children they think are sick or they think possessed or something like that, they would like put an egg underneath the bed. Like you put an egg underneath the bed, and the egg would like a symbol of rebirth and cleansing, would like is supposed to absorb the negative energy, and that's one of the things that I'm aware of. But he was saying that he would place these eggs around the sitting room.
Dan, you're aware of that because you had many eggs under your bed, didn't you? Is that why you're aware of that?
And so he said that these eggs actually started pelting him, like as he was saying, and the guy just bolted out of the house as soon as that happened. Apparently, like it's just like all these eggs just started pelting him from different directions. I love that they like basically found this kid's magician next door, and they're like, "Hey, can you?" Just doing a birthday party.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
you know anything about spirits? And he's like, I don't know. I got some eggs.
I know about magic.
Yeah.
Then they said another time. They said another time they had a psychic tell them to leave the house the night before Halloween and to come back like the day after, and so they left, and then 2 days later they came back to the house where all of the lights were turned on. And that I think they actually have photos of this, but they said like the sitting room was in complete disarray. Yeah. Like Lee and Bill Sr.'s mattress had been slashed, and it was like they couldn't even use it. They had to replace it.
Absolutely
everything.
Destroyed.
Just furniture tossed around, stacked in all kinds of weird stuff like that. Like very poltergeisty stuff.
It looks like someone ransacked the house looking for something. That's what it looked like. Yeah. Like that's what it looked like when I saw that. I was like, if you wouldn't have told me that this is suspected.
Not even that, but it's like stuff is like stacked on, like stuff is like stacked on top. Not even like you were moving it around, but it's like stuff is like stacked up on like height to like, why would you even put it there?
So things are going terrible for them. Everything's getting fucked around. They're not getting any help. And this is where our first reoccurring character comes in. Paranormal researcher Gary Kent. He had reached out to them and offered to stay with the family. The first day, Gary went into the second floor bathroom, walked around, and basically yelled out, "Show me what you got." And a book came flying out of nowhere and hit him in the head. And then all of a sudden, Prince directed all his fucking hatred and targeted fucking Gary. So he began shredding Gary's clothes, breaking his belongings, and it would write threats on the mirror directed towards Gary. It went as far to say that Gary had a tiny dick. He wrote it on the mirror.
Wow.
Oh shit, that's so funny. Could you imagine that going in the mirror? You go in the mirror,
pencil dick.
And it's like, what's up, little dick?
How do you ever explain that one, Gary Bear?
Yeah.
Hey?
You're like, God damn it, Prince.
He slept in the guest room and he was attacked by knives.
Yeah, because they do have a picture. They do have a picture of a knife that is like
broken knives.
Yeah, they have a couple of pictures of like knives being like stabbed into the wall at some points, like around the house and things like this. So it was like whether they were teleported there or thrown into there. It's like, I don't know whether. If they teleported there, it's okay.
Listen, I'm going to say, like, even in darkness in your room, if someone was just throwing knives, like, you would quickly, it's not like they're getting away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you would be like, it wasn't, that was this guy, that someone was in here throwing knives. I heard them. I could kind of see them. Like, that's it. But, like, that is not the case what's happening here. It's like, they're like fucking just legit flying knives.
Yeah, he didn't last very long. No, obviously, he was out of the house. I guess at one point, he was sitting at the breakfast table, and his hair just started falling out of his head.
Yeah, well, I mean, stress-induced alopecia from being. Everyone's just,
hell yeah,
everyone's coming down like, "Hey, TD, what do you want for breakfast?" He couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take the stress.
So you have this like the mirror writing going on, and apparently it's just become part of their life. And it even shows like this entity even understood other languages, or it was able to understand anything or whether the intent behind the languages, because apparently Lee and Bill Sr. Would communicate sometimes in like a dialect known as Tabresh, which is like a dialect of Italian native to Sicily. And they would try to like speak like that to keep the entity from knowing what they were saying. But then the mirror writing would just be in response in Tabresh. Like it was right then. So it understood what they were saying and it could communicate in that as well. And so these Andrew's little ploy of English second language wouldn't have worked. So now this is where you get a little bit of star power coming in here. And it's said that Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous Warren, the Conjuring Warrens, actually visited the house on at least one occasion. Deborah relates this in some of her interviews and talking about when they came in there, she comments on how the Warrens were very understing. They knew what they were kind of going.
These are the who's who of fucking.
She says they're really nice. She says they're really nice people, really kind people. And so when they went and performed their rituals and trying to suss out what this demon wanted or what this entity wanted, Lorraine said that she kind of when she did gone into her trance and kind of to feel out what was going on, she said that this thing specifically was a very ancient and powerful demon that they were dealing with. Gozerian. Yeah. All right. There's only Zool.
Yeah. The scourge.
There's only Zool.
Yeah.
And so
he's in the picture. That's why he kept turning.
Once they figured this out, the Warrens decided the best way forward was to proceed with what is known, I guess, is the rite of provocation, is what they called it. And so they kind of gathered everybody into one room.
Is that where you just provoke the demon?
Yeah, but essentially.
I mean, I don't know why that's like that. You're like, there's only one thing to do. Provoke
call it out.
I'm like, it does not seem like any idea where I would be like,
it's like, hey, Tiny Dick, you're like, I know you are, but what am I?
You're screaming into the mirror.
Yeah. And then just like you're just roasting each other through the mirror, I guess. Like that's essentially what's going on.
You're right. So you're just fucking angry right back in the mirror. You fucking little bitch. You just fucking show yourself. I dare you.
At least I've got a dick. You bodiless freak.
Goddamn face. Just draws a little cock and balls in the corner for you and soap scum.
So they gathered the entire family kind of together, like in one of the living rooms. And then, so when they started performing this rite, they said that they noticed that Bill Sr. started to kind of change, like the manner in which he changed his entire body, the way that his aura just started to change. And
he like slumped over in his chair, and so everyone's kind of like looked over, and he like kind of like had like a rigid arch to him, and then he just like stands up, and he's kind of like fucking growling and like being fucking weird, like drooling. Everyone's kind of looking there, and he starts to like slowly like walk towards Ed. And in the account that I read, Ed has like a little fucking necklace with like a little capsule that he unscrews, and he pulls out like a wooden splinter, and he's like, "This is from the cross." And apparently he's got like a splinter from the cross,
the cross that Jesus was crucified on. Yeah.
And like,
but you imagine if you like were able to like stick that underneath his fingernail. That's enough. I'd be like, whoa, but I want nothing to do with you, man.
But I just thought he's just like, this guy's coming at me like, blah, blah, blah. He's got this little thing. The power of Christ compels you. This is
fuck, I dropped
this
it.
is from everyone stop where where's the carbon around it? Yeah. Splinter. I'll help you.
Yeah.
So he's like pointing this little fucking sliver at him. Get back. And Bill's like, I'll fucking bite your hand off. I'll bite your fucking hand off. Like screaming at Ed. Didn't he threaten to bite his hand off and spit it in his face or something?
Yep.
And then he just then he just casually like backs up and just sits down, like kind of like uncompresses the spine, and then he's just like, what are we all looking at here?
What's for dinner? Yeah, and that's when all the activity.
All right, we provoking this thing or what?
Let's see. Got provoked. Mission accomplished. So, like we said before, this demon has been focusing on Lee, and apparently at one point it revealed to the family that the reason it was focused on Lee when they kind of like pushed it on this thing was that Lee was marked as a blood sacrifice. Like sometime in the past, like she had been marked as blood sacrifice. And because she hadn't been sacrificed when she was supposed to, this demon has pursued her now.
It's now come to collect.
Well, it's like from her ancestry though. Like she's the ancestor of a nun that was supposed to be sacrificed by this group of like fucking evil monks, apparently. And one of the monks decided that he didn't want her to die and freed her, and she got away.
And they cursed the family, I guess.
Yeah. So like, well, that's what I mean. Like, I guess the bloodline is cursed, which is very interesting because it brings me back to the beginning. And it's like, okay, like when you look at what happened with that Juanita lady, like, it's like, okay, was her Santeria? Did that open some type of fucking portal for the demon to come? Did it thin the veil, which allowed this ancestral fucking demon that is attached to this family to come through and attach itself to Lee?
I mean,
right?
Well, shit does pop off at the Juanita thing.
Right? So obviously she was doing some shit. Like, I don't think Juanita was purposely bringing forth the demon, but I wonder if by some type, like she opened a portal or something like that somehow, and one of these evil fucking demons used that as an opportunity.
Like something was trying to scratch in already. Something was there.
Or my other thought is maybe Dominica was somehow protecting her family when she died. Whew. Like maybe Dominica was the one sacrificing the fucking goats and shit to protect her family. And when she died, there was nobody left to do those fucking, who knows? I don't know.
So one of the more disturbing like physical manifestations that occurred, according to Deborah, is that there was a point where the family was sleeping one night soundly, and that Bill Sr. just suddenly like jumped up, like woke up suddenly and like reached down and he pulled out this spearhead. Like he pulled out a spearhead and they're like, what is that? Where is that? He's like, I don't know. I just woke up and it's here. Like it's just, I don't know what this thing is. I don't know where it came from. There's a picture of this thing
and it looks old. Like it looks like a weird old, it looks like a weird old like spearhead / dagger. Like it's fucking weird looking.
The long one.
Yeah.
And so the family actually took the spearhead, or they said that they took the spearhead to a museum and had an employee there actually look at it. And they said that the person that they had look at it said that the spearhead was from, it was old.
It to Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
What's his?
Give you $5.
You can bring one of my experts in.
They said that this specific spear, from what they could tell, was from the Belgian Congo, and that the specific way that this spear was like prepared, or the way that it was sharpened, is that it wasn't actually used for hunting or anything. Is that this was a type of spearhead that would be used in like for a ritual sacrifice purposes.
Well, I mean, it does. It kind of looks a little fancier than like a regular like. If you're just like, oh, a spearhead,
it's like a throat slit.
Yeah,
spear.
like that's what it looks like. Yeah, that was my thing. I was like,
can we all agree? Can we all agree that fucking Billy Sr. is a little bit sketchy?
Yeah, 100%.
What's going on here, right? He's like, right? Can we agree?
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. We're on the same page here. All right. Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were segueing. I was like, is he?
No, I wasn't. I'm talking shit. No. I'm just like, I just see like when Ed and Lorraine come, he's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, something's wrong with him.
He's just, Right. Now, this is the two best characters in the entire story. You ready for them?
Yeah.
So, they're not done bringing in this like motley crew of fucking
of course not.
Paranormal
Stuff still happening. You gotta bring them.
Well, yeah, Ed and Lorraine leave. Nothing's happened. Nothing's changed.
Ed and Lorraine fuck off. They didn't get anything done. A lot of hype there. They end up running into this lady named Redwing. All right.
From Detroit.
They found her at a psychic fair. Like it was like a convention. Right. So Redwing, who was a local shaman, they met, they kind of shared their story. And it's like, listen, I got to bring you to my elder. My elder is going to be able to give us some good advice on this. And we'll go from there.
These found them at a carnival?
Redwing brings them.
The guy taking to my elder, he works over on the tilt-a-whirl.
Psychic. Well, he's busy. He's working on the fucking zipper right
He's
now.
bending the basketball hoops on the fucking thing so he can't make it.
So Redwing brings them to their elder to seek guidance, explains the story, and the elder looks at Deborah in his native tongue and says, "You are not what you think you are." And a tear rolls down his eye. But anyways, so they agree. The elder's like, "Listen, you can take Redwing, and not only can you take Redwing, but you can take my other shaman, Fire Panther." So Redwing and Fire Panther.
That was his name,
go to the
Fire
Moffitt's
Panther?
home.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. It's a fucking cool
Redwing
name.
and Fire Panther.
Yeah,
okay.
That is like, honestly, of all the names we've ever said, top 5 names, like all-time names, Fire Panther.
I want to be Fire Panther. You can be Dragon. I want to be Fire Panther.
Yeah, Fire Panther's a great name. Yeah. So Fire Panther and Redwing, they come to the Moffitt's home. Stated right away they could feel this presence emanating from the second floor.
They felt the heaviness.
So they began this ritual by wafting smoke throughout the house. And bizarrely, the smoke began to blow out the windows of the attic, like it's being like repelled.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay. They're like, listen, something's going on up there. We need to confront this fucking whatever this entity is. We need to confront it. We need to draw it out, and we think its domain's in the attic. So they proceed to the attic. They began burning sage and chanting in hopes of getting this demon to reveal itself. While they're doing this ritual, Deborah looked over, and I guess the walls were like insulation, right? Like a normal attic would be. And in the insulation on the wall, it looked like something was kind of imprinting on it.
Yeah.
And as she started getting closer, she started to see what looked to be like some two deep sunken in eyes and a chin and a mouth. And then all of a sudden you could make out this head, and it had these 2 spiral horns on its head.
What I always thought was funny about that account is, by the description, that would mean that the demon was standing beside her and was like, "Wait till she sees this," and then just buries its own head into the insulation, because it's not
Imagine
like it pushes out.
His face would be.
Yeah, exactly. This shit, like the old Pink Panther stuff. Like, and it's not protruding out. It's sinking in as if someone's like putting your face in the snow.
Oh, that's gonna be itchy. Like, it's like, that's gonna suck. You get fiberglass everywhere. Like, that's not fun.
So after
I should have done
Redwing and Fire Panther stated that the entity was much too powerful for them to banish, but they were able to remove a paranormal manifestation. Oh my God.
I think we found your photography.
Manifestation. A manifestation from Bill Sr. So they pulled a paranormal fucking mother. They pulled a paranormal manifestation.
Now
they pulled something from Bill.
Not so funny now, is it?
Manifestation. They pulled a paranormal manifestation from
That's
Bill.
Not right.
From manifestation.
No, it's not.
Manifestation.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
You said manifestation. You didn't say it right.
No, manifestation. I've been saying manifestation the entire time. So they pulled a paranormal manifestation from Bill Sr. and placed it into the family dog named Jeff. Sons of bitches.
Yeah.
So they pull out this manifestation, they stick it in the dog Jeff, because it was the only way they were able to remove it was by taking it from one living thing and inserting it into another thing. And then Jeff died.
Right away.
They fucking killed Jeff.
Why don't you just bring like a chicken or something? Like,
why? I don't think Fire Panther was ready for the level of.
Hey, Fire Panther's always ready.
Yeah, but I just don't think he was quite prepared for the amount of power. Yeah. This is basically Lethal Weapon of the paranormal. You got Redwing and Fire Panther.
There's no good solutions here. We gotta put it in
Red Wing's too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Red Wing is definitely too old for this shit.
It's the only way. So at some point, Deborah started referring to this thing as Mr. Entity. And Deborah says that she believes that she treated this creature or this demon with like a mutual respect, which she said that this is what protected her and like her husband and their son that they had like her immediate family. Like she felt like that protected them. Because she's like, I'm going to treat this demon with respect, not in friendly respect, but just like, I know what you are. I recognize that you're there. Okay, just don't mess with my family. You're not going to mess with my family. That kind of stuff like that. And so, the stuff all kind of focused around Lee, and like even at one point. This is probably what Deborah said was like one of the most like the scariest parts was that there actually started like a countdown. Like it was like Lee will die in 9 days, 8 days. And they said that when they approached like the final, the 1 day or something, Lee actually came down with a case of double pneumonia, and which she had to be hospitalized.
Bilateral pneumonia. That's the first cardiac arrest I ever did.
Mm. And then,
what is that? Like, is that pneumonia in both lungs? How does that work?
Both lungs.
Oh. I know. I just thought when you had pneumonia, it was affected both lungs anyways. I didn't realize it's only one.
Yeah. Usually when you have a lung infection, it's only one lung.
So when she was in the hospital, apparently and it was getting really bad to at one point, but Lee actually managed to recover. And what she attributed her recovery to was she said that there was at some point in the hospital, like she had a full on like experience where she said that she saw her Lee's mother, like she saw her mother. Is it Dominica?
Well, it's more fucked up than that because she saw first it was like a black like stain in the roof that grew and like almost like a venom slime, and then it moved down to the fucking
symbiote. Yeah. Venom slime. Who the fuck? What?
Sorry,
buddy. Come on.
Sorry, venom. It was
Jesus Christ.
Call it that.
And then it like fucking went to the wall, down the wall, kind of spread to the floor, and then like appeared beside her bed, like rose up, and then kind of took the form of Lee's mother, like beside the bed. And to be honest, anything that pops out of black sludge that at first appears on the roof, I don't know if I'm going to be fucking being like, oh, grandma, is that you? Like,
yeah, but there's fucking people who pop a piece of toast in a toaster and think they fucking see Jesus in it.
Well, I'm just saying, right? I would think it was more nefarious than.
And she's probably high on fucking, she's on antibiotics, probably on some fucking painkillers.
But she said that her recovery, she could attribute her recovery to her mother's spirit protecting her. Like she said that like, I'm not like the whole thing where it's like, she said that she felt something was coming for her and that her mother's spirit stood between her and this thing coming to take her. And that, banished the spirit or whatever and kept her from being taken, and then she was able to recover from her illness. So with all of this stuff focusing around Lee, Deborah's always had this kind of creeping suspicion, or she said that she's always kind of harbored this thing that Bill Sr. had something to kind of do with this, because he was not like she always kind of said like, I've always had my reservations about Bill Sr. Like,
so it gets like, I forgot to put my little thing here in the notes too, but like what kind of led to this, a big part of this is in the summer of 1989, they found a doctor named Evelyn Paglini. She offered, like all the other fucking people, to come stay with the Moffitt family and attempt to kind of communicate with the demon. And right away, the demon lashes out at this lady, like, fuck you, you lied to my family, like very hostile towards this lady. Not sure what she lied about. But after a few days, she informed Deborah that a family member was giving it permission to remain in the house.
Yeah.
They tried a ritual to find out who the family member was. And during this ritual, Bill Sr. fell to the floor and began convulsing. And soon after, he kind of came to unaware of what happened, which like it's just normal. It's a post-ictal period after a seizure. But the fact that he reacts to this,
everyone else in the house is like, motherfucker.
Yeah, right. And then things get a little bit weirder too. Is Evelyn then informed the family that the demon was a prince and was actually one of the 7 princes of hell, the highest and most powerful of demons, each representing the 7 deadly sins. So they're like Lucifer, which is pride, Beelzebub, which is envy, Satan, which is wrath, Abaddon, which is sloth, Mammon, which is greed, Belphegor, which is gluttony,
old Belfucker,
and Asmodeus, which is lust. But unfortunately, I guess Lee found out that Dr. Paglini was like a founding member of the Church of Satan in Chicago, and was like, "Get this lady out. We can't trust her. She's fucking turf her. Get out of here." But yeah, that's what kind of initially is planting that seed, that fucking Bill Sr. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
So Deborah said that at some point she became aware that it's Bill Sr. and this demon had some type of relationship. So just there's the seizure thing too. But she said that
old Billy's getting stroked off by the fucking mirror demon at night. Yeah, well, his fucking bobblehead shack.
I think she said she actually caught or observed like Bill
air humping.
she actually observed.
Right, they're writing each other dirty notes on the fucking mirror.
Almost. Deborah said that she observed them like he communicating, talking with it, and saying that it seemed to her that both of Bill Sr. wanted the demon to kill Lee, and the demon wanted Bill to kill Lee. Right. And so Bill was trying to he's trying to work out some deal with this demon to be to somehow get rid of Lee. And then the demon's like, no, you need to do it. And he's like, no,
they're both trying to get the other one to do the deed.
Yeah. That's what Deborah kind of said what was going on.
The demon's like, listen, I'm not fucking real. I can't do it. Yeah. You got to fucking do it.
He just it's him talking to himself in the mirror.
I'm in your head.
Yeah. So it took a while, but with all of this stuff that was going on, they figured the best way to either kind of get rid of some of this stuff was the best way to approach this was to have Bill Sr. leave. Whatever. And at first, Lee was like, no, could she consider herself a good Catholic woman? Just that's not what we do traditionally. You just tough it out. Even if your spouse is trying to kill you, I guess, or have a demon kill you, that's fine. But eventually they convinced her, they convinced Bill Sr., they asked him to leave, you need to go.
Well, one of the things I read was that he
went to a psych ward.
He was like, hey, well, that's not what you think. It's not what you think's happening. I'm fine. It has nothing to do with me. And voluntarily went to go get assessed at the hospital. And he went and got psychiatric help at the hospital. And then the doctors called the family. Was like, okay, he's good. We've assessed him. He's okay. Why don't you come pick him up? And the whole family went to the hospital to go get Bill Sr. And while fucking baby Bill and Deborah are sitting in the van or whatever the fuck they drive, Lee goes up to
Astra van.
Yeah, 100% Astra van. Yeah. Lee goes up to see her husband, how's they're doing, and they're gone for a while, to the point where Deborah and baby Billy, they're sitting in the van going where the fuck are these guys? And then all of a sudden Lee comes flying out, fucking tears, pissed off, and apparently when she goes up there, Bill Sr. and the psychiatrist up there cornered her in the room, and basically it was it's all you're the one fucking making up the demon, pointing the finger at Lee. And she was like, absolutely not. That's not at all what happened. So when she goes down and tells baby Billy and Deborah, they're pissed off because they've seen Bill Sr.'s kind of reaction to this as well. So Bill
and while he's gone, a lot of the action died down.
Greatly died down. For the 2 weeks, nothing's really happened. So he comes sauntering out, a little bit after, hey everybody, and that's where it's no, this is fucking done. You're out of here. Sayonara. We're Splitsville. Goodbye.
Yeah, they kick him out,
right? And they kick him to the curb.
So a lot of the activity did die down after Bill Sr. leaves. So they said, obviously, there's a connection going on there.
There was still
stuff going on. So I think Deborah said that the activity from Mr. Entity, is what she called him, didn't really kind of take a true nosedive and kind of peter out until they had one investigator come and stay with them. And this investigator, his method to confront the demon was essentially she commented that he didn't seem all adverse. He was kind of he wanted to make a deal with this demon. He wanted to be hey, if you want something or you want to do something, let's do something, right? You can come with me. These people who don't want you here,
show me what you got.
This is, by the way, this is Gary Kent.
This is Gary Kent. Oh, so that was Gary Kent. Take it with him.
This is Gary Kent.
So Gary Kent came and
he's back.
And he told them, he basically said to the demon, hey, come with me. Like we'll go do stuff, you know, we're
going to England. Well, he had a job in England and he's like, listen, I'm going to England. You ever want to go to the UK? Come on,
just come hang out. We'll go do stuff.
And he was kind of thinking, so apparently this Gary guy, he actually stayed with him 3 different times. The first time he tried to help them, whatever, got chased out of the house. Second time, he needed a place to stay. And kind of a similar situation. Third time, he fucking lost his job and needed a place to stay for a couple days again. And while he was there, he's like, listen, like maybe I could turn this into some fucking
some retired traveling,
like Gary and the Ghost.
Gary and the Ghost,
right? Like, you know, ghost in a jar. Come check this shit out.
So yeah, he invited the demon to come with him. Just said straight up, let's go. Like, you can come with me. And apparently Mr. Entity took him up on that. That offer.
I didn't want to go first
because there is like, as nothing's really happened for a while, Deborah gets one last message in the mirror in soap, and it just says, please let me live here.
Yeah.
The prince, one of the 7 princes of hell, is like, please don't make me go with Gary, please. I won't do anything. I won't do anything, please. And like, they just don't respond to it. And like that, and that's the end of like the
that was the last, yeah.
He loses his power, right?
Can we unpack this a bit? I don't like right off the bat. Okay, you have this guy who has a critical illness. All right, he's got cardiomyopathy. He's so fragile that it's a good idea for him to stay in the house with his parents. Because he can't be doing things on his own, right? They're worried about his health, everything like that. But yet, this motherfucker can stay in a house that's paranormally activated for fucking how many years?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what the fuck?
That motherfucker was walking around.
He had his sports memorabilia collection to keep him sane, like, and relax him. You know, he was just had those bobbleheads and he was just stroking those things, and like that kept him calm. You know,
I don't understand. I'm like, that to me is the dumbest part about this. And then like the fucking the Prince of Satan is writing in perfect cursive and soap. Like, why isn't he writing in blood?
Yeah. Why, there was no blood around. I mean? Like, I don't understand. Soap right on the counter. Yeah. Why is he fucking burying his head into the insulation?
Premium.
Embarrassing.
Like,
I don't know. I just the fact that like this story. So a big part of the story is this story never got out until Bill Sr., Baby Billy, and
Lee.
Okay, so maybe those and Lee were all dead. Yeah. Right? Deborah's the one that shares the story.
Shares the accounts, yeah.
She made a pact with everybody that we'll never talk about this story other than the 500 different paranormal investigators we brought by the house. Yeah. And no. That's fine, right? Like Red Wing and fucking Steel Panther aren't going to tell nobody. But fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like now all these people are dead and Deborah's got concocted this magical fucking story where that can't be corroborated by anybody else.
Yeah, everyone else is dead or has fake names.
Seems very convenient. Yes.
The one thing I will say,
bizarre to me.
Interesting. So, like, if we're to believe this story on face value, it does to me. I don't know if it's one of the 7 princes of hell, but like I would say, like if we're to believe this is 100% a paranormal, like without a doubt, it does seem to like ramp up as it's given more attention. And then when you kind of find out that Gary Sr. is like giving this thing all the attention it wants.
Bill
Sr.
Billy Sr.
And then when he kind of goes and everyone stops paying this thing fucking mind. Like the thing for me is I'm like, are you saying Bill Sr.'s sneaking in that house afterwards and writing, please let me live here in soap? Right.
I'm telling you right now, if they're actually like, so if Deborah didn't make up this story, then Lee's the one that's been doing it the entire time.
I can buy that.
Because it's fucking always these narcissist motherfuckers that make the entire story about them. Oh, I'm the ancestor of this fucking knight, or this nun was supposed to be fucking sacrificed, and I'm special, and no, fucking everybody get Lee. And it's always the narcissist that's fucking making up this shit to make them. They're the star of their own fucking story. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's always the bullshit, just like Linda Napolitano.
I could see
all fucking bullshit.
On the other side of it, I could also see that maybe it was like, if it wasn't, if not all, maybe some of this stuff is exaggerated and like, so maybe some of this stuff to happen, but maybe it was kind of actually was like a manifestation of like Lee's guilt. Like, as she was doing these things because she felt bad about like either stuff that she knew about, because I think Baby Billy had told Deborah that, he was pretty sure that Lee knew where some bodies were buried from the Casa Nostra relationships that they had, familiar things. Well, so, and then she said that she felt like she was being punished at some point. So it's either that, or she was like trying to find a way to like get herself away from like, she's trying to leave him. And that all of this stuff is directed towards Lee. And then the whole thing where it's like, no, it's actually him. That does him, make the end interesting. So
where Bill corner with the psychiatrist corner her. Right. Because maybe it wasn't even as aggressive as being cornered. It was being like, "Are you doing this? Like, are you doing this because of something? Like because of your trauma."
If anybody was doing it, it was her, 100%.
I mean, that
how about moving like those pictures? Wow, I mean, those pictures.
But how's
you don't really know how
not a single
those pictures
not
are,
a single one of those things that were done during the paranormal activation couldn't have been done.
That's fair. That's fair.
Right? I mean, you could take pictures of anything. They could have stacked up those things and just taken those photos. Like, we don't know.
It's the fucking late 80s, early 90s. Why didn't you get someone on camera? On like film it, like with a movie camera.
That's true. Yeah. We did have VHS.
Like, you had VHS camcorders. It was fine. Now,
I don't know.
The thing, okay, so the other thing is, that means that at face value, so say this is a true account, and we're going to point the finger at Lee, and everything that Deborah details is true. Like, that means Lee's fucking like snatching waitresses' name tags and shit. Like, that's just such a fucking weird thing to do.
Like, you could just like walking out of there.
How
like
you're just like that? Like, that to me,
well, she just took it off. Like, maybe she just was like, it's not like it was happening all the time. They just had that one event. So maybe just saw it. Maybe she just like put the waitress took it off. Like, cause she was going to the bathroom or something maybe. And just like, took it off.
Maybe
put it down. She was just like, whoop. I'm like,
fucking wild.
If any of it's true, it was Lee that was doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
She was a fucking devout Catholic. She needed a reason for the separation.
Yeah. I either way, it's a fucking fascinating story. And did the Warrens die before this came out?
Listen, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. How the fuck is this not a movie yet? This is crazier than all the other Warren stories, and you never hear about it.
The rights to this story are actually bought. Like, there's going to be a movie about these ones, actually.
Yeah, Blumhouse or whatever. Right. Yeah, but like, I don't know. You don't think the fucking Warrens would have monetized
or put it in one of their books? Like,
the Warren Files,
one of their stories. Like, like that's
unless
do we even know they were involved?
Maybe they went there. Maybe this is one of the cases where they go there and they're like, okay, but here's the thing: if that counts,
it's not even going to make our fucking.
Maybe that's like their top. Yeah, maybe maybe this case isn't in like their top 10. Maybe it's just like, this is just whatever.
Yeah, but what the fuck is going on with
Bill? Doing a whole bunch of these.
If we're to be believed that if this account, like
what do you mean?
Like, if this is Lee, if that's what we're pointing the finger at.
Oh, you're talking about
when the Warrens are there and fucking Bill Senior's like, I'll fucking bite off your fucking head.
we don't
know that they were even there. That's the thing. Like, I don't. You know what? I'm leaning towards Deborah. Yeah. Maybe something weird happened at one time and then she used it.
Well, we didn't talk about that.
This does sound,
because they've said that, like,
this does sound like a story that's a mishmash of a bunch of other stuff.
Well, the shit with the dogs we never talked about, like, they had those iron fences.
Yeah, Jeff, we fucking RIP.
No.
Jeff.
No. Jeff dying. But like, when they first moved into that house,
died first.
There was like accounts of, they had like those really narrow fucking like iron fence bars, and like the dog got pulled. It looked like dogs were getting pulled through, and then like were dead on their yard, like with the crows and all that stuff.
Yeah, some like they died some pretty violent deaths.
So it's like, I mean, again, you feel like you start seeing that. Like, also they're with the mafia, so it's like, is this shit just people sending messages?
No, but like, that's the hilarious part. It's like, so we have the mafia tie-in at the beginning. Yeah. Then we have the Santeria and the sacrifices. Then we have this motley crew of fucking shaman and paranormal investigators. Yeah. And all of a sudden you have the Prince of fucking Hell, and he's just writing soapy fucking messages on your window. I'm like, this is just,
it's a lot.
It sounds so elaborate and ridiculous.
Yeah.
May have jumped the shark at some point.
Hey, let us let us know what you think. Shoot us a message. Where do you like? Is it Deborah? Is it one of the families? Are we to believe this?
Yeah. Which of the 7 princes of hell is it? Which one is it? Could be any of them.
Yeah.
I love talking about this shit.
Who's your favorite prince of hell? Tell us in the comments. Thank you.
I did have a theory of the week. I know we didn't talk about it before, but I think you guys will agree.
No. Yeah, I agree. I saw it in the fucking Discord.
Congrats, buddy. Serg, the Splurg, got engaged. I'm guessing he didn't actually confirm that there was a yes given, but I would say by the picture that oh no, he said got engaged.
Well, yeah. He standing in front of the
he said got engaged.
Just say yes. There was a proposal. It wouldn't be an engagement. I don't think he would have passed.
Dan, I'm 35, reading at a grade 11 level. Okay, reading comprehension never changed.
Manifestation.
But he got engaged. Beautiful photo of the two of them. By the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco.
Golden Gate Bridge.
That's a nice place. That was a nice place.
He got engaged.
Niners hat too.
He got engaged wearing a fucking OG El Nasty t-shirt.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
That's if there's a shirt to get engaged in, it's that one.
Yeah, that's the one. Congratulations.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you for including us in your, that moment in your life.
In spirit.
So
we'll be expecting wedding invites as well.
We appreciate that. How funny would that be? Someone invited us to a wedding 2 years ago.
Oh, that's right.
And then COVID hit. Yeah. So I don't think we were making plans to go, but they invited us.
Were we?
Who knows?
That's cool though.
So Sir the Splurg and your new fiance, enjoy. It's fun time. Congratulations from the Theorists. Don't have Zell here. So Patreoners, hey, thank you. We thank you. We see you. We thank you.
You're the best.
And we know you're joining patreon.com/alien theorist theorizing. When Zell comes back from his parental leave, it's going to be an hour case law file of reading names from Patreon.
Yeah, reading Patreon names.
We love you though.
Anything else before we send this one off?
I don't think so.
And as we always say at the end of these things, keep those eyes on the skies.